Good morning and welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Nice to have you along. Let's get started.
The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense, no prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe it.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show, Thursday, March 13th. Great to have you along this morning. Well, the big story continues to be about the federal government funding bill. As you know, it passed the House this week, now over in the Senate. So what's going to happen? And it looks like we're approaching a shutdown. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer saying yesterday that Republicans just don't have the votes to pass their continuing resolution, he said. And Schumer said funding the government should be a bipartisan effort, but Republicans chose a partisan path, drafting their continuing resolution without any input from congressional Democrats. Because of that, Republicans do not have the votes in the Senate to invoke cloture on the House CR. And there are a few Republicans. Well, it depends on how many we're going to see. Senator Rand Paul, we've talked about this, he is a committed no vote. And then you've got John Fetterman, the Democrat, saying that he would never vote for a shutdown. He said ever. He said on X. So he is trying to appeal to fellow Democrats not to vote in favor of a shutdown. And so really who will you blame? If there, we have been through this before. There's a lot of game playing, and it seems like right now is worse than it's ever been. The parties are just diametrically opposed. There is no appealing to Democrats. The CR that's being passed would fund government at current levels, so you're not looking at any kind of significant cuts. Excuse me. So who will you blame if the government shuts down? We're going to talk about this coming up this morning. So this, we could see a partial shutdown beginning at midnight tomorrow night. And Schumer, again, he said, Republicans do not have the votes to invoke cloture. He said, our caucus is unified on a clean CR that will keep the government open, give Congress time to negotiate bipartisan legislation that can pass. Oh, please. It's a simple thing. Americans have heard this time and time again. So I would love to get your thoughts on it. House Speaker Mike Johnson said, in a shameful display of coordinated political theater, Democrats are willing to run out the clock on funding the government in a failed attempt to block the America First agenda, he said. Now it's decision time for Senate Democrats. Cast a vote to keep the government open or be responsible for shutting it down. Who will be responsible for shutting down the federal government, in your opinion? Will it be the Democrats if they're not willing to play ball at all with Republicans? Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York saying everyone needs to call their Dem senator right now. They are starting to cave. Today is the showdown, she said. Senator Chris Van Hollen, Democrat from Maryland, said, at least for now, I don't see the votes. Based on my reading of the end of the meeting, I don't see the votes there right now for passing the House Republican CR. So where do we go from here? There's a lot. It's the same old thing that Americans have seen, I think, a number of times previously. So here we go again. That's a big story. We'll get your reaction coming up. Also, there is now Washington and Kyiv have proposed a 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine. The question is, will Russia accept the ceasefire? So Semaphor's got a story saying that the president and Vladimir Putin may speak as soon as this week. But Western security officials, they say, expect Putin to present deliberately maximalist demands. In other words, he's going to be asking for the moon, and in order to prolong the conflict, because there is a certain pressure then inside of Russia, and Putin's militarization of Russian society, then they say, has created a huge core of veterans, meaning he is unlikely to demobilize. So, but not accepting the ceasefire could also create problems, especially with the United States and U.S.-Russia relations. So this is really a complex. We'll see what happens as we move forward. So Washington and Kyiv proposing a 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine. Whether Russia will accept it or not, really, right now is the big question. And heaven only knows which way they will go. We will visit with South Dakota Senator Mike Rounds coming up a little later this morning. He will join us for a short period of time after about 8:15. We'll talk to Senator Rounds this morning, and there are a number of things here to visit with him. I'm certainly interested to get his read on what's going on with the CR on the Senate side. Also, as you know, Senator Rounds has, been a champion of shutting down the education department, and we saw now we're talking about the federal Department of Education. He wants to return that power to the states. And so Linda McMahon this week, Tuesday, mass layoffs in the federal education department. So we'll get the senator's thoughts on that. Also, he has introduced some bills this week that are worth noting. One that would strengthen Second Amendment rights for military families and full-time travelers. So we'll talk to him about that. Also, he issued a statement following passage of his legislation, the Wounded Knee Massacre Memorial and Sacred Site Act. So Senator Mike Rounds will join us coming up this morning, about 2 hours from right now. We'll visit with Senator Rounds. Also, I find this incredibly interesting. As you know, the issue of, and this is a big local story, the issue of racing has been a big one in Sioux Falls. And you've had people who are out on portions, on highways where they're out and they're racing, and they set up these racing events. There's been so much concern that the city of Sioux Falls went to the state legislature this year looking to increase the penalties for those who are engaged in this illegal street racing. So now, and that has passed, and so now you see the city, this very, very interesting, city of Sioux Falls changing and unanimously approving a new ordinance that would sanction exhibition driving events. It'll be legal now in Sioux Falls, but under certain conditions. And so, we've talked to Sioux Falls Police Chief John Toom about this before, about increasing patrols where the street racing is going on. So now what the city council heard was they heard from Sergeant Travis Olson, who's the traffic coordinator for Sioux Falls Police. He said with stricter laws on the way, he hopes that to have these exhibition driving events and do it in a safe way. And he said, talking about doing this within the city. And so Josh Dockstetter, who's the president of the Sports Car Club of Siouxland, talked about this. And he said, talking about his group, he said, we're a club of car enthusiasts. We do autocross, similar to like a road course type of an event, but it's much safer, lower speeds. We use a parking lot, one car on course at a time. It's not wheel-to-wheel racing or anything. But he said of the city's new ordinance that he's hoping it's going to give enthusiasts, you get a number of car, motorcycle enthusiasts and so on. And Dockstetter said, the city wants to get any sort of street racing or aggressive driving or exhibition driving off the streets. And he said, we're just an avenue for car enthusiasts to be able to drive their cars and to be able to enjoy them in a safe manner. So the Sioux Falls City Council unanimously approving these temporary racing events. And I asked a question on Facebook this morning. I welcome your thoughts there, as to how you feel about this. And I really appreciate this. If I can get personal for a moment, because it totally understood the concerns of police and why they went to the state legislature. And now you see police working with the Sioux Falls City Council to say, okay, we understand that this is an issue and there are people. We are trying to create something that's, not just allowing people to, speed down Sioux Falls streets, but creating events where they can blow off that kind of steam and participate. Is it going to work? I don't know that it will. Time will tell. We'll have to wait and see. But I certainly applaud our Sioux Falls City Council and our police department for trying for recognizing this and trying to provide an outlet. So we'll get your thoughts on it coming up this morning. That's a big local story. Also, Teleland TV's got a story about county officials differing on a new property tax bill. The property tax bill, Senate Bill 216. Kello TV talked to a couple of Lincoln County commissioners. Lincoln County, is the fastest growing county in the state. And so they visited with a couple of Lincoln County commissioners on this issue. Commissioner Joel Aaron says it does not go far enough in protecting homeowners and families. Says too many lawmakers want to protect the status quo, he told Kelloland TV. Then Commissioner Jim Schmidt said he fears could make it difficult for the county to keep up with the demands of growth. Says growth is good and growth can cost money. Counties aren't flush with cash. We only get 20 cents of every dollar. So this is kind of an interesting story at KELLOLAND.com. Dakota News Now has got a story on this is a House Joint Resolution. This is the one. South Dakotans will vote on whether to raise the threshold to pass a constitutional amendment to 60%. And Representative John Hughes of Sioux Falls said, when we put new rights in our Constitution, we have to be really careful what we're doing. That's why things like an unrestricted right to abortion, the end of political parties in South Dakota, marijuana, whether recreational or medical, those are policy decisions. And it's, he says, change could still be enacted through initiated measure or referred law. It's just going to require more people to do it. I love this, the threshold to pass a statewide constitutional amendment, passing that to 60%. And take a look at, as you're needing something similar in the U.S. Senate right now in order to pass a continuing resolution. Slows things down. Also, other story, big stories that are out there this morning. There was a House subcommittee hearing on Tuesday that ended fairly abruptly because the chairman of the committee, this is a Republican, Keith Self, referred to Democratic Representative Sarah McBride as Mr. McBride. And this was challenged then by Democrats. Sarah McBride is a transgender congressperson. So Self referring to Sarah McBride as Mr. McBride, and Democrats were in disbelief. Can you repeat that? We want to hear that. Will you repeat that? I heard some of the audio. Oh my goodness. All right. Also, egg prices have dropped 33% from an all-time high of $8.17. So they dropped to $5.51 a dozen, according to the USDA. Prices still remain 50% higher than last year. And Brooke Rollins, who is the Secretary of Agriculture, warned the prices may increase again as Easter approaches, as there's always more demand around Easter time. Also, the president showing off his new Tesla this week. And so the president during this event he purchased a new Tesla. It was not a gift. The president purchased a new Tesla to support the company and what they're doing. Been very vocal in his support of American companies of all kinds. So he purchased a Tesla, and during this event, he said that these people who are damaging Tesla showrooms, charging stations, vehicles, he said he may designate them as domestic terrorists. He said, I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anyone doing it, they're harming a great American company. He said, I've stood up for the NFL. I've stood up for a lot of American companies. You do it to Tesla, you do it to any company, we're going to catch you and you're going to go through hell, the president said. He climbed into his new Tesla, which he will not be driving. Obviously, the president never drives himself. Not only, I'm saying, not just speaking of President Trump, but presidents never drive themselves. And so he said he's going to allow his staff to use the new Tesla. Also, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick talking about tariff policies. He's saying they're worth it, even if they lead to a recession. And he said this after saying a couple of days ago there would be no recession in America. Now he's saying if there is, it'll be worth it. So he said these policies are the most important thing America has ever had, so it is worth it, he told CBS. And he was asked, is it worth it? He said it is worth it. The only reason there could possibly be a recession is because of the Biden nonsense that we had to live with. There is also a story regarding AI in the workplace. And there is a survey out of American workers. Over half of workers say they're worried about the future impact of AI use in the workplace. And you got more people who are using it, more people who say they're concerned about it in the workplace. And this is it's certainly interesting. You know, we've talked about AI a little bit before, and with this story being out there this morning, may be worth having that discussion again. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. 627, hazy and 37. This hour of our show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
And Robbins, weekdays at 2. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored by Tires, the Give You More Tire and Automotive Store.
It's time to stop making excuses. The peace of mind you get after a colonoscopy is worth it. It's the best way to prevent and detect one of the deadliest cancers. In fact, your doctor can remove precancerous polyps during the procedure if necessary. That's right, before it even turns to cancer. No buts about it. Get a colonoscopy at 45 and follow up every 10 years or as recommended by your doctor. Find a location or schedule now at avera.org/colon.
Are you feeling the impact of the recent changes in the timeshare industry? My friends at Lone Star Transfer are the only company I trust. For more than a decade, they have successfully helped over 20,000 owners get out of their timeshare with an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau and thousands of 5-star reviews.
Thanks so much for being here this morning. It's always great to have you along. I appreciate it very much.
855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
Slow it down. Get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA. Izervay or avastin-capted Pagel is a
Feels like Friday this morning. It's not Friday. But it sure feels like it to me. You know how some weeks go like that?
Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
My week, unfortunately, is getting longer as we speak.
Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid
Oh.
for by Astellas Pharma.
Uh-oh. Talking to you too much and not watching my time. This is going to be a train wreck.
Extreme fire danger. Be careful. Red alert warning is in effect. Forecast tonight.
Miscounted by 30 seconds.
Showers and thunderstorms increasing later in the day. Some severe weather cannot be ruled out. and snow possible Saturday. From the Storm Center at Kittle TV, I'm Brian Hudson.
Wasn't as bad as I thought it might
The
be.
administration plans to repeal 31 environmental regulations, including restrictions on vehicle and power plant emissions issued last year under President Biden.
It's the most significant,
Okay.
biggest deregulatory action in the history of the country. Trillions of dollars.
EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin on Fox. New regulations need to be written, and there will be legal opposition. There's disagreement among Senate Democrats on whether to vote for a House Republican spending bill or allow a partial government shutdown to start again on Day Friday.
The House passed CR aims to cut non-defense spending by roughly $13 billion, which Republicans say is essential. Democrats fear it will allow the Trump administration to dismantle more government, cut taxes for billionaires, and funnel corrupt contracts to SpaceX without protecting Social Security and Medicaid.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. The bill needs 60 Senate votes to pass. There are 53 Republicans. America's listening to Fox News.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. Summit Carbon Solutions has suspended its carbon capture pipeline permit application in South Dakota. The company asked the Public Utilities Commission for an indefinite delay as it regroups. Summit suffered a major defeat last week when a new bill was signed into law that blocks CO2 pipeline companies from using eminent domain to secure land for pipeline construction. Summit's legal team must find a way through South Dakota, with many landowners opposed to the project. The city of Sioux Falls has been working for years to control street racing and exhibition driving. Now, the city is encouraging the activity, but not on city streets and roadways. Traffic Sergeant Travis Olson laid out a plan for the city council to have the city sanction legal events.
The exhibition driving ordinance remains the same, with the exception of an addition which provides a permit process for groups like these to see these events for literal thousands of citizens that have an affinity for motor vehicles like I do.
The traffic division Olson leads would issue permits for the legal events. Last month, the city was successful in getting the legislature to approve tougher penalties for illegal street racing. Governor Rodin has vetoed the bill that would have expanded the child care assistance program beyond the low-income families the program is meant to prioritize. Rodin said the bill would have given child care workers preferential treatment and shifted the assistance program away from its core mission. The idea behind the bill was to encourage more people to join the child care industry as South Dakota continues to face a shortage of child care workers. It's Rodin's first veto as governor. A popular Native American taco buffet in Sioux Falls is shutting down. Watecha Bowl is relocating to Freeman. The Sioux Falls location is closing this Saturday, and the new spot is expected to open up in May. Watecha Bowl is one of the few Native American-owned businesses in the city. In sports, the Twins lost to the Red Sox 6-5. Minnesota is now 6-9 in spring training play, and the Timberwolves routed the Denver Nuggets 115-95. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Very warm today, high 77 degrees with a red flag warning for extreme fire danger. South winds at 15 to 30. Very mild tonight, low temperature near 50. And then tomorrow, high at 73. Showers and storms late today. Some severe weather cannot be ruled out. Snow Saturday. From the Storm Center at Kettleland TV, I'm Brian Carstens.
Our business is news, and business is good. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9, and Kello.com.
With stock market volatility and escalating trade wars, listeners are asking me if the dot-com bubble could be repeated, this time around with AI. I'm Kim Commando for LinkedIn Jobs. Post a job for free and find qualified candidates quickly at linkedin.com/Kim. Now, if I could answer that question with accuracy, I could replace Warren Buffett's uncanny ability to predict market conditions. That said, there are real differences between the AI of today and the 1990s dot-com surge. Back then, corporations were dot-com giddy. They blindly paid outrageous prices for websites with zero chances of profitability. This huge bubble that peaked on this date 25 years ago. Overvalued, overhyped companies like Pets.com, eToys, and Go.com, which was a Disney product, collapsed as business reality set in. Today, there is no AI bubble. If anything, AI is undervalued. And if this market slide continues, it won't be AI that caused it. Sign up for my free newsletter at getkim.com. As a small business owner, you don't have the luxury of clocking out early. Your business is on your mind 24/7. So when you're hiring, You need a partner that grinds just as hard as you do. That hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates that you can manage all in one place. Their new feature can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people. Either post your job for free or pay to promote. Promoted jobs get 3 times more qualified applicants. At the end of the day, the most important thing to your small business is the quality of candidates. And with LinkedIn, you can feel confident that you're getting the best. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next trade hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Kim. That's linkedin.com/Kim to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Do it today. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Kim.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is sponsored by Tires, with 2 locations to make sure you have the proper traction this winter.
Bring charm from the outdoors into your home with Renewal by Andersen picture and combination windows. Optimizing a beautiful view and light in a bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today.
That's ABC Seamless.
Swenson Advisors is introducing Grain Insight, taking the guesswork out of grain marketing. Join us for a 30-minute presentation on March 24th or 25th at our Sioux Falls location. Call 605-335-5570. Seating is limited. Again, 605-335-5570. Grain Insight, because timing is everything.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
T-Mobile home internet is all about speed, value.
What's he doing, Zach?
First thing, there are so many benefits. You got to talk fast.
T-Mobile home internet ranks #1 in customer satisfaction for home wireless internet by J.D. Power.
Wow, you are good.
Try singing it. T-Mobile has price lock.
They won't raise your rate on internet.
Hulu and Paramount Plus on
Get T-Mobile home internet all in for just $55 a month with auto pay and any postpaid voice line. Visit just five JD Power 2024 award information. Visit jdpower.com/awards.
Progressive Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance might be the easiest part of owning a home. Definitely easier than this.
Honey, what? There's a salesman walking up the driveway.
Oh no, he's got a clipboard.
What do we do?
Get down.
Down?
On the floor, you.
Shoot, did he see us?
Why are you breathing so loud?
Home ownership isn't easy, but with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, shopping for home insurance is. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Entertaining talk. News when it happens.
That's what you'll always get on Kello Radio, and you can even get more at Kello.com.
In-depth stories, podcasts, and more.
For more of South Dakota, go to Kello.com. Kello News Talk.
Good morning. 6:39, hazy, and 37. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on Kello. This portion of our show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Well, the mission to rescue those stranded NASA astronauts has been delayed yet again. SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket was supposed to launch from Kennedy Space Center last evening, but the mission wound up being scrubbed at the 11th hour. So the mission was taking 4 astronauts to replace the 2 who have been stuck on the International Space Station since June. They were supposed to be there originally for a very short period of time. They've been stuck there now for months. So it's a little bit disappointing for NASA and SpaceX. So they will try again this evening. They'll have a second attempt at a launching. And commentators from SpaceX said there would also be an opportunity on Friday if the backup launch also fails. So this would have let the 2 flee the International Space Station, be back on Earth with their families by Sunday. So we'll see what happens with this. Also, U.S. consumer prices increased less than expected in February. Inflation slowing to 2.8% after accelerating 0.5% in January. This is the Labor Department's Bureau of Labor Statistics released this yesterday. So in the 12 months through February, the CPI increased 2.8% after climbing 3% in January. Economists had forecast the CPI gaining 0.3%. So again, inflation now has slowed to 2.8%. Also, the president's 25% tariff increase on all steel and aluminum imports officially took effect yesterday. And then there was immediate retaliation from the European Commission. They announced shortly after the tariffs took effect that they would impose counter tariffs on the equivalent of $28 billion worth of U.S. goods starting next month. And they said the EU will protect its consumers and businesses. We are launching swift, proportionate countermeasures worth up to $28 billion, matching the economic impact of the U.S. tariffs. Meanwhile, gas prices continue to fall throughout the country this week. National average for a price of a gallon of regular gas dropped to 3.081, according to AAA. It's the latest decrease in the fuel sector this month. Gradual increases at the pumps throughout February. So today's costs are lower than the gas price from a week ago. It's also cheaper than the average cost of a gallon of regular gas last month. So prices are coming down. Also, Ukrainian forces have been forced into a retreat from some captured Russian territories. This is in the Kursk region. This may become a significant loss for Ukraine, an embarrassment for President Zelensky ahead of potential peace talks with Moscow. So this had happened during a counter invasion last August when Ukraine's army seized a large piece of territory from Russia along the border between the two countries. And Vladimir Zelensky had pitched the captured territory as a key bargaining chip in potential peace talks with Russia. But now, according to a report from Forbes, the bulk of the Ukrainian soldiers in Kursk, including some of the Ukrainian army's heaviest brigades, have been forced to retreat. They have returned to the Ukrainian side of the border. Russian troops were threatening to encircle the Ukrainian forces. Also, Democratic Massachusetts Representative Bill Keating had a meltdown earlier this week. This was during a House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee hearing. The chairman of the committee had referred to transgender Representative Sarah McBride as Mr. And this occurred during a hearing on arms control. And the chairman of the committee, Keith Self, cited a Trump administration order that only recognizes and identifies two genders, which is the person's biological gender. And so Self introduced McBride as Mr. McBride. And McBride said, "Thank you, Madam Chair." McBride then was interrupted by Bill Keating, who asked Self to repeat the introduction. And he again referred to McBride as Mr. And then Keating went nuts, went up. "Mr. Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency?" I mean, I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent. Referring to transgender by their their sex at birth, that's indecent. It is, according to the Democrats. Also, other stories trending. Billy Joel has postponed his tour due to, and he's saying it's due to a medical condition, but he's not saying what that is. And I love Billy Joel. I have loved his music since I was a young man. I think he's a great performer. I got to see him live once in Minneapolis. Went up to see Billy Joel perform live, and it was an incredible time. I loved it. He's just fantastic, I think. I don't want to get too far afield here, but I'm a big Billy Joel fan. Billy Joel saying that taking some time away from the road will allow him to recover from recent surgery and to undergo physical therapy. Then he said, under the supervision of his doctors, and the statement said he's expected to make a full recovery. So he's hitting pause on his tour. And then he is well into his 70s, Billy Joel is. And he said in 2023, and I missed this comment at the time that he made it, but it's hilarious. It's worth sharing with you right now. He says he's not a big fan of these farewell tours, he said in 2023. And he said, "I have a disdain for capitalizing on that." He said, "Let me threaten that it'll be the end, and then I'll make a lot of money. I've seen bands so many times announce their farewell tours, and then they never go away." He says, yeah, which is absolutely true. So best wishes to Billy Joel in his recovery. Also, President Trump greeting the Prime Minister of Ireland, Michael Martin, at the White House yesterday. They sat down for an Oval Office meeting alongside Vice President J.D. Vance, who was also there. So the president greeting Martin at the West Wing entrance with a handshake and a shoulder tap before they headed to the Oval Office. President called it a great honor to have Martin visit, and talked about Martin returning to his leadership position because he had served as Prime Minister of Ireland from 2020 to 2022. So now he's returning as Prime Minister. So you can imagine President Trump, sympathetic to that. He said he did it the hard way also. He served and then took a little time off, and then he served again. I've heard about that. That happens on occasion, he said. He was making an reference to his own election wins then in non-consecutive terms. The president said, "We knew each other from a long time ago, but it's a great honor to have you in the Oval Office and have you at the White House." This is big health news. Scientists believe that they may have discovered by how a very inexpensive painkiller can help stop cancers from spreading. Aspirin. This is the team from the University of Cambridge did animal experiments, and they say that aspirin enhanced the ability of the immune system to fight back. And they said this was an exciting and surprise discovery that could eventually lead to cancer patients being prescribed aspirin, but not yet. People are also advised against taking the pills themselves. There are risks with regular aspirin, and I think it's one of the reasons why you have started to see, now for a number of years, the low dose aspirin that has been available. In fact, I take one every day since, and doctors say that's as important as the other medications that I take following my stroke. So I take a low dose aspirin every evening. And if it helps me fight off cancer, all the better. Also, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the Secretary of Health and Human Services, has called on senior food company executives to remove artificial dyes from their products. They had a meeting this week. He said he would take action if they didn't do it. Bloomberg reported that Kraft and General Mills were among the companies in the meeting with Kennedy. And the Consumer Brands Association described the meeting. They said Kennedy expects real and transformative change by getting the worst ingredients out of food. It's a big issue for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Another story that's trending, you may have heard about this already. The Apprentice is coming to Amazon Prime Video. Amazon announced this on Monday, that The Apprentice, you remember who was the star of The Apprentice, right? Donald Trump, became available for streaming earlier this week, March 10th. Season 1 of the series, originally debuted back in 2004, is now available, and then subsequent seasons will drop one per week on Mondays through April 27th. So this is not the first time The Apprentice has been available to stream. However, it is the first time it's been available to stream since 2019. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. And I might be likely to go check it out. I did not watch the original Apprentice, certainly knew of it, but I didn't watch the original Apprentice. It was making headlines often. So it might be interesting to go back and watch that, see another side of Donald Trump. Also, Tiger Woods has announced he underwent surgery for a ruptured Achilles tendon. He shared the news on social media. He said the surgery was minimally invasive and went smoothly. So now he's focusing on rehab and recovery. Southwest Airlines, is breaking the hearts of many air travelers. They are ending their long-standing policy of free checked bags. They're the last airline to do this. Every other airline has, been charging for checked baggage. Southwest Airlines has held out for quite a period of time. But they announced on Tuesday, they outlined several changes. They're trying to return to a level of profitability for their shareholders. So passengers will be charged for their first and second checked bags for all flights booked on or after May 28th. So if you're someone who flies, be aware of that. Also trending this morning, Greenland And their center-right opposition has won a surprise general election this week. It was a vote dominated by independents, as well as President Trump's pledge to take over Greenland. The Democratic Party there favors a gradual approach to independence from Denmark. They achieved around 30% of the vote. And the party leader said Greenland needs to stand together in a time of great interest from outside. Obviously, talking about the U.S., there is a need for unity. So we will enter into negotiations with everyone. Greenland governs its own domestic affairs, but decisions on foreign and defense policy are made in Copenhagen. Also, a U.S. Customs and Border Protection official, this is heartbreaking to me, is accused of defrauding FEMA and lying to federal agents about the use of FEMA money that was given to her after flooding at her home in Detroit in 2023. Oh, why am I not surprised to learn that corruption coming from Detroit? Yeah, we seem to have seen a lot of that over the years. So she's a career employee of Customs and Border Protection, according to a news release from the U.S. Attorney's Office. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. 6:57. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Hazy and 37 at Kello.
Matters to you. You'll hear it on Kello.
Well, thanks for kicking your day off with us. I very much appreciate it. I almost wanted to wish you a great weekend, but today's only Thursday, so I'll hold off on that till tomorrow. Hope to see you again soon.
Saturdays in March, members playing with a rewards card can win